Hi, I'm CJ and welcome to Commander class. In today's class we'll be going over enchantments, but we'll be going over kind of the basics of enchantments in general. So now that we've finally finished with all the lands and how to start, we are now moving on to the next section of enchantments. So in this video I will be kind of given a generalization of enchantments, just in case for the next few classes we'll be going over the different types of enchantments, so it's really good to learn the basics of what an enchantment is, so the next videos don't kind of confuse you. So when it comes to enchantments, it is a card type. You kind of place it there, there's many different versions of them, but it's kind of like there's three main overall versions. There's kind of a passive enchantment, so it's a card on the field that kind of just sits there, and it can be like a creature or an enchantment card itself and other versions of it, and it just kind of does something passively, so you don't have to do anything to interact with it. It will have a certain effect going at all times. Then there is activated ones, some enchantments that you do certain things, but you have to pay mana for it. So it might be one of those things that it'll be able to give you an extra little bit of boost, but you might have to pay mana in it or tap it to activate that little boost. But you can activate it kind of whenever you want, because it's kind of sitting there waiting to be activated. And then there is circumstantial artifacts, which is cards that really, most of them just say whenever or when or how. It's kind of like when you play a creature down or a card down, or if you attack or at the beginning of your upkeep. So it kind of sits there passively until the circumstance for the rest of its ability is done. For example, at the beginning of your upkeep, whenever a creature enters battlefield, whenever enchantment enters battlefield, anything like that. So overall, enchantments are just kind of cards that sit there and wait to be used at any time. And we'll be going over them for the next, I'm going to say maybe month or two. A good example of a passive enchantment is Exploration. For a green, you get an enchantment that is a rare. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. When it comes to this card, it literally just sits there and does nothing, and you're able to play a second land kind of whenever you can play a land. So there's no really like rules when it comes to the card itself, but the rules in Magic is you're only allowed to play one land per each of your turns. You're allowed to play it at your main phase 1 or your main phase 2. But this passively just sits there and lets you play an additional card, so you can play one land on main phase 2 and one land on main phase 1, or you can play both on either. But the good thing about this card is that there's no drawbacks, so even if you don't play that initial land, nothing happens. So it just sits there passively and waits until you have two lands in your hand and you're able to play both. The next one is an activated enchantment, and that card is Sneak Attack. For 3 and a red, you get an enchantment that is a mythic. Tap a red, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. That creature gains haste. Sacrifice the creature at the beginning of the next end step. When it comes to this card, it is mainly to be able to play big creatures, or if you have a graveyard recursion deck, that's what you mainly see this card. It's really good if you have a really big, we'll say like 10 mana dragon or Eldrazi, and you want to attack with it on the turn. This time it just costs 1 red mana because you are activating the enchantment. It's kind of still there at any cost, however you literally pay it to kind of activate its ability, play the big thing, and then the rest of it happens, and then you sacrifice at the end. But it is a really good and known enchantment with an activated kind of ability cost for it. And then finally are the circumstantial cards, which are the most known ones. So it's like when this enters a battlefield, when a creature enters the battlefield, when a permanent enters the battlefield. There's many versions of these cards, and there is one that is really well known, and here it is on screen now. Rhystic Studies. For 2 and a blue, you get an enchantment that is a rare. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. These are enchantments that kind of sit there and wait until the first bit of it is able to activate, and then it does the rest. One of the more known ones are the ones that start at the beginning of your turn, or there is also ones that like whenever an opponent draws a card, or whenever an opponent plays a permanent, or whenever an opponent casts a spell. There is many different versions of these, but they're called circumstantial enchantments because it depends on the circumstance when it activates. Over the next few weeks, I'll be going over the different enchantments, kind of going over them in more detail, so it helps that little bit. I'll be going over enchantments such as auras, coutures, curses, runes, backgrounds, classes, sagas, shards, shrines, enchantment artifacts, enchantment creatures, and enchantment lands. So for the next few months, they will be all the enchantments I'm going over. If there's any that I haven't researched or looked up, please let me know in the comments down below, and I'm excited for the next chapters of the next commander classes. But let me know if there's any enchantments you love or any enchantments you know of, or again, if I'm missing any enchantment types, let me know in the comments down below. While you're there, remember to like and subscribe and comment and follow me on all my social media, and I'll see you in the next video. Also, if you like this class, we have last week's class here, a playlist with all the commander classes here, and a subscribe button here. It helps a lot if you go and subscribe. I'm so close to 500, and I will see you all in the next video.